Hi, everyone. Welcome to Digital Experience. This is our iteration retro. Today is Thursday, June 1st. I will go over some of the things that went well from this iteration and some things to improve on. The first point for things that went well, I think, is Lauren.
Yeah, just want to say great job, John, and the whole Dex team on releasing the localized marketing site. It was a very large release, and all of us have worked on that, and it's really nice to see it in production, and we get to iterate from here. So great job.
Just plus one, all of that. I think that's great. And also like great work, Lauren, for leading all of that. It was like so chaotic and so messy and it felt like a long time, but also like so quick at the same time. So yeah, just plus one to all of that.
Yeah, and I'm putting another one in there. Great job, Megan. She did her first full nav release last week, and she's a pro now. So that's awesome. And then also, back to Megan, great job on the Marketo email template. That's awesome. You had to dive into a whole new platform with their different, coding specs, and you delivered something that was flexible and just really awesome. So great job, Megan. Okay, I guess I'll dive right in to things to improve on. And I'd love to hear some feedback from the whole team. But yesterday's release was so stressful. And it was one of those days I had like a one-on-one with Phil's at the end of the day, and I was just like, ah! Um, so, I think there's some things I could have done better, like being calm, and not making quick decisions. But I want to hear from the team, like, what do you think we can do to make large releases like that um, smoother and hopefully less stressful for the team?
I know you and I had a one-on-one kind of in the middle of the release, so I got to hear parts of it, but can you summarize what all happened? Which parts went wrong, and do you have kind of an idea of the different pieces?
Yeah, so we got 30 YAML files yesterday morning for all of the human translated content. So that was kind of just like, oh wow, it's all here. Maybe we can get it, but we couldn't get it done in time. And then when I went to go test the localized site, I noticed that the pricing page had like kind of a regression on the English version, which spooked me out. I was like, whoa, can't be doing that. And so then decided to make the call of removing the homepage and the pricing localized versions from the release. That created a lot of complexity. So I think that, was the first mistake, is changing scope during a planned release. And then actually increased complexity, but we got through it and we were ready to go. And then I realized that these legacy home pages that I had removed were still existing in our CDN cache, which was preventing us from releasing the whole site. Because in that case, the language selector would show up on the home page. It would go to these legacy ones from like 2 years ago that had the wrong price on them, which we definitely, couldn't do that. We solved it. So that was cool. But it was a lot. There's a lot of MRs. You can go to that release issue and you'll see like 9 or 10. So it's kind of the summary. But then got to work today and legacy home pages were gone. We got, patched up some other things, and now it's out there, and that feels really good.
Maybe having this big pages be their own separate release always, like the home page and pricing page, not bundling them with the rest of the pages.
Yeah, that's a really good call out. Because you know, 3 more home pages and 3 more pricing pages in the same MRs is big.
I think one thing, like kind of what I noticed anyway, a good call was saying we're not going to release this today. Like you said yesterday, like we're holding off on this. I think that being able to make that call is also important. Like just knowing that it's not worth the risk of putting out something that might be broken. I know we love to like test it in prod, but like, you know, I'm glad that you had the foresight to be like, this can go out tomorrow and like no one's going to die. Like it's going to be fine. So like good call on that because it sounds like just whack-a-mole of issues. Yeah.
It's also selfish. I didn't want to work last night. I wanted to close my computer and be done, you know, and John had to, you know, a concert to go to, a show, so.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is something just to be cognizant of, especially as we roll out large like digital transformation changes such as the CMS, and when like continued localization goes in, you know, this isn't going to be the last big release we do. It's going to be more.
You think this is maybe another reason like we'd want to spin up some sort of a staging? It's not just review app. We have like an environment that can hold everything so we could really test it, then say, yep, we're good. Let's now merge it over kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'll say all the review apps between the nav release and the buyer experience MRs and localization, it got a little confusing to keep track of. Yeah.
Did the issues appear in the review apps? Or it was just like in production?
The legacy pages did not appear in the review apps. Those were production issues related to our CDN. Yeah.
Could be useful to have the staging environment that Justin mentions in those cases. We will have to have a CDN on that environment too, maybe.
Yeah, but if we were to
Yeah.
like, we were to completely mirror like our fastly config into like a static staging environment, so but here's what it's going to be. Maybe it would help to like alleviate some of these things. I also know we run into some of these like test it and prod kind of situations around one trust and some of our cookie consent and things that you can't test or review app because of for whatever reason. But if we had like a more of a true staging environment, maybe that would help us test some things there.
Yeah, I think one of the things about review apps is like it spins up a new URL, right? Like every review app creates like this new kind of unique URL. So it kind of like handles its own caching because it's a brand new URL. So if we have a consistent like staging.gitlab.com or whatever, you know, about .gitlab.com, if we're going to see caching issues, we would probably see it on that staging environment, which is kind of nice because it would be a consistent URL.
Justin, what do you think about devoting some time to investigating like the scope of bringing that staging environment back up? I think things have changed since the last time we had it.
Well, and I also think it's a good thing to, yes, think about, and it would be our staging environment. It wouldn't be like shared with the teams doing their thing. It's like, we need to be able to test our stuff, verify it, and then push it. Like I said, we have these big localization, CMS, something else is going to come down. We want to be able to test it. One Trust, I know there's a lot of legal stuff going on with like European data and whatnot. So it's hard for us to do things. I know, like even Mateo working on the Marketo error thing, like pushing up like 15 MRs just to see if something works. It'd be great to just have like a real environment. So we're not running the risk of like pushing something to test and potentially breaking something live in production, and we have to wait the 15-20 minutes to revert it. So it'd be great to have some more of a static staging. So yeah, I think it's probably a good thing to think about.
Jump down to 2. We're ready. So when things change on our key conversion pages, homepage, pricing, how are we going to ensure those changes get to our localized pages? One example that, if we would have pushed the homepage yesterday, is that pill we just added on the hero to promote GitLab 16 doesn't exist on the pages, the home pages that we localized. So that would be like one example.
Well, this one is tricky because some people might not know if the page that they are updating is localized or not. So a little reminder that we could add in our merge request would be a new check item in the template, asking for the engineers to verify if the page that they are updating is localized. I believe it's not, it will not ensure that everyone will do it because it's a lot of work and a lot of pages, but as a reminder, I believe it's a good approach as a first starter.
On that note, something the translation team would like is that when a file is returned translated, that content isn't updated on it, so that translations all run through they call it an MCAT tool, which they have specified like vocabulary and like strings and stuff for how to translate. But it'd be great that if we didn't have to do that all the time. Justin?
Yeah, my other point, and Javi and I were just talking about this a little bit. The pill thing isn't like as a huge big deal because of some of those props in that hero. Like if it's not there, yes, we're missing content. It should get localized, should be added. I'm more concerned about, someone pushes a complete new feature to a hero component that requires a net new prop, push it up, and it breaks some of the localized pages because the component's updated, missing the prop to render something correctly, an image or something. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of thinking we have to now think about when we start doing some of these things. Make sure that we add a new feature, I guess maybe not even a feature, like an option to like change the color or swap from left to right or whatever it might be, that we'd have to test and make sure that value is added to every single localized page as well.
Yeah, QA just tripled for pages that are localized. So add a little extra time when you're planning your workload on something like that.
Could we add some kind of like pre-commit hook that checks if a content page has been updated, a content file has been updated, if that file also has French and Japanese and German, like gives a warning or something, something annoying, like prettier, It feels a little clunky, but maybe there's something that could just be a gentle reminder, especially if it's not us updating the content.
I like that idea. It's like a pipeline. Could be a pipeline job, like a pipeline warning.
Yeah, and I think this would work like 90% of the time, maybe even more. Like if there was a checker that was like, it noticed that an English YAML file has been updated, and then it checks the translated version, and if they are not updated on or after the most recent one, it throws an error. It just checks like the update date or commit date or whatever. Most files that might save us. Like I said, like most of the time, unless you update the French page first and then English, you'd have maybe issues. I don't know. It is kind of like wouldn't want to create like huge bottleneck or something like that, a failure, but at the same time, like, yeah, I do agree, like there needs to be something also specifically for people who update pages. Most pages that we update they're translated we are code owners for, but some pages other people are updating and they don't know this process and they're just going to push an update and things are going to be out of sync. So if there was a pipeline checker for other folks in the business who actually push content updates, that'd be good.
Yeah, I like that idea. And the only catch would be having to not break our pipeline. But yeah, we'll look into that. We'll do some work on that. Investigation, next iteration. Pass it over to Laura to close this out.
Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time. And we all have to wait because I miss waiting.